All right, guys, welcome back into another episode of the Show Baseball Podcast. Today's date is February 6th, which that means there is less than a week until pitchers and catchers report for spring training. I'm your host, Andrew Parker, as always. And before I get any further into the episode here, I definitely want to ask something very important. It helped me out quite a ton. Wherever you're listening to this, whether it's you're watching me on YouTube right now or you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever it is you listen to it, please please subscribe. It means the world to me. We're trying to get this thing off the ground and running a little bit. So please help me out as much as you can. But yes, I am joined by Detroit Tigers catching prospect Stephen Scott in this episode. So please stick around for that episode here in just a few minutes. We'll shoot to that. But, we talked about quite a few things in regards to, his transition to the Tigers organization from the Red Sox and, what he had to go through this year and starting in a new org for the first time since he got drafted. So definitely stick around for that. I did want to kind of highlight a little bit, during the interview, we did talk about, the Detroit Tigers playoff run and how, Stephen got to watch that from home after his season end in Toledo. And something that, kind of struck me is, the Detroit Tigers are not going anywhere. They're a team that won 86 games last year. They made the playoffs, and I don't think they're going anywhere. I mean, they just signed Jack Flaherty the other day. Their rotation already has the reigning Cy Young winner. They have two prospects that are rated in the top 10 in all of baseball, according to MLB.com, with Jackson Jobe and Max Clark. So Jobe is probably going to be part of that rotation at some point, joining Flaherty and Tariq Skubal. I don't think that team's going anywhere. They might be lacking on the bats, and they might be banking on a few of the younger guys to take some strides. But I just think you can't sleep on the Tigers right now, and I think my chat with Steven kind of amplified that a little bit to where it's one of those things that, watching a team like this that's got a really good pitching staff and they have the hitters kind of coming in. They signed a guy like Gleyber Torres for the infield, which might not move the needle too much, but he could be a very good piece, just complementing the other guys in the lineup already. So, without further ado, I'm going to shoot you on to the interview with Stephen Scott, and hope you enjoy. All right, I am joined by Stephen Scott of the Detroit Tigers organization. And Stephen, I know we were just talking a little bit off air. Obviously, the offseason's coming to a close. I know you report here to camp pretty soon. So I wanted to ask you, how has the offseason been treating you so far?
Oh, it's gone really well. I always like to take a little bit of maybe the first month and a half to kind of relax, put baseball down. Got to watch it on TV this year, watch the Tigers and some of the guys that I played with be successful in the playoffs, which was awesome to see and fun. But put it down for about the first month and a half, and then just slowly work back into it before Christmas. And then once January hits, it feels like a sprint.
Yeah, it's I feel like that's kind of something that once January 1 hits, and obviously you have free agency in full swing, and I know fans are getting a little queasy and I guess just a little excited for spring coming up. But obviously you're going to be down in Florida here within the next week, and I'm sure you're ready to get back to it. But I did want to ask you, obviously, about the new organization, because last time I talked to you on here, you were a member of a different organization. So what was that process like for you? Just like changing orgs for the first time in your career, obviously with the team that drafted you and you came up with in the Red Sox and going to the Tigers. So what was that process like for you to start 2024?
Yeah, it was a whirlwind. It was a lot. And so I was released towards the end of spring training. And then, within a couple days, it's calling, getting on phone calls and trying to figure out where I'm going to be heading, and then driving up to Erie, Pennsylvania, where I didn't know the staff. I didn't know any other players, had never played with anybody on there before. Turns out that I played against a couple. And so, baseball locker room, everybody seems to know somebody that so made friends quick. The staff there was incredible. They really welcomed me in, and And then the players as well just made me feel like I was right at home and able to step right into it.
You kind of talked about how quick the turnaround was of like, obviously you go through spring training, it was pretty much at the very end of spring training when you got released. And it's one of those things where, you were signed just a couple days later. And so how long did it take you to feel comfortable and just kind of like, okay, like I'm part of the Tigers now, like I'm starting to know some people. How long did that take you?
That's a good question. I think it took a little while, probably maybe a little bit longer than I thought it would take when people asked me who I played for to not say the Red Sox and then be like, oh man, well, the Tigers now. But in terms of getting comfortable, the staff brought me in and sat me down, and they tried to make me feel as comfortable as possible. They said, we want you to come in here and do your thing. We'll work with you on all the onboarding, all the signs, and that sort of thing. And so they got me up to speed pretty quickly there. Like I said, they made me feel very comfortable and like I was able to come in and play and be myself.
I always I feel like I have like way too many pitchers on this show. I feel like there's just way more of them. But with you being a catcher and playing in the field as well, I feel like it's a little different, than when a pitcher changes orgs and it's like, oh, they want me to learn this pitch or they want me to, do this differently in my delivery or whatever it is. But for you being a position player, what kind of changes did you have to go through in the new org? Like, did they point out anything about like, your swing or playing in the field? Like, I guess what kind of changes came with the new org?
Yeah, there were definitely adjustments both offensively and defensively. I think for me, the biggest thing defensively was just trying to get to know the pitchers as much as possible. So I had never caught any of the pitchers on our entire staff and had maybe faced, I think, 3 of them in previous years. So a lot of it was just trying to get out as much as I could, catch their bullpen, play catch with them, talk with them, hang out with them, just trying to build up that rapport as quick as I could. And then on top of that, also working with the catching coordinator, Brian Pena, they had already had like a little, not a list, but they had a few keys and things that they wanted me to work on right away. So it was kind of jumping into the fire. It's trying to learn these pitchers at the same time as making these adjustments so that I can progress as a defensive catcher. And a little bit of the same offensively. They brought me in and they were like, sure, you've been working on things. This is what we've seen in the past. They talked to me a little bit about bat angle. And then from there, it was really just adjustment based. It was based off of how I was swinging it in games and what the data was showing. So early in the season, my attack angle was super, super shallow. And so working with CJ Wamsley, the hitting coach in Erie, about trying to feel like I'm more direct and feeling like I'm, taking the barrel straight to the ball, even though that really wasn't what was happening. It felt the real versus feel was really mismatched for me early in the season. So tried to feel like I was overhauling it, and then I would look back at the film and it didn't look any different. So, but no major changes there. Just, adjusting as the season goes on.
Yeah, I just took a peek at your numbers just from last year. And I know obviously, there's a lot more that goes into how your season was than just looking at a box score or like season stats. But, obviously it did stick out to me that, there in AA, whenever you were for this year, you carried an OPS over 900. Then in AAA there in Toledo, you were over 800. And I feel like the hitting side of things has never really been a side of you, I guess, that's really struggled. I just remember you going up to AAA Worcester and hitting like a 3-run home run every time you were at the plate just 2 years ago. So I feel like for you in the box this year, what do you think aided in your success in the box? Just being able to put up the numbers you did in AA, then going up to Toledo and having some success again in the box. I guess, what do you think helped you?
Yeah, It was those adjustments that I was talking about. I really struggled early in the season, and none of that had to do with getting comfortable with the new organization or anything. It maybe there was a little bit of pressure that I'd put on myself in terms of I want to show up and make this good impression on the team that just picked me up, and I want to come out of the box hot and all of these things, and then just kind of fell flat on my face. It didn't quite happen that way. So being able to work with the coaches there, and then kind of identifying like the ranges of numbers of the data that I wanted to stay in, and really just communicating that to Mike Hessman at AAA when I got up there of like, hey, this is what I've been working on. These are the numbers that I'm really paying attention to. And if you see anything spike, like, let's sit me down, let's have a conversation, because this is what I'm trying to do. And if it's different, then something's not clicking for me. And he was really good about that. And there were a couple times throughout the back half of the season that, we had that conversation.
So we were talking off air a little bit about your defensive side of your game just this past year. And obviously I saw you were listed as an outfielder. I think that's probably, like you said, it's probably been like that since you were drafted, I think, from Vanderbilt. But, this year you saw, primarily time at catcher, but you also saw some time in left field, and then first base as well, which I remember you were playing first base in Worcester as well last year, 2 years ago, I guess now. But for you in the field this year, what was it like playing left field again for the first time in years?
Oh man, it was it was fun. I had a good time. That shock a little bit the first time you see your name in the lineup with a 7 next to it instead of the 2. That gets the heart rate going a little bit. The first high fly ball that gets hit out there, and you got to run under it. But no, it was great. The staff kind of brought me in the first day that I got to Toledo and told me that, this is kind of the catching situation, and hey, for a little while, there's going to be more opportunity for you to play in the outfield, and where would you be comfortable? And I told them either corner outfield, and the way that our lineup was set up, left field had opportunity for me. And I got lucky enough that I think like the first 10 to 15 games that I played out there, maybe it wasn't that many, but I was playing left field and Parker Meadows is in center field. So felt like every time the ball went up, I could just let Parker run under it, and, he could take care of that. But no, it took, a couple games and a lot of work to feel like I was comfortable back out there, but it was a little bit like riding a bike. And, I'm glad that's continued to be part of my value proposition. And I hope that it stays that way going forward.
I saw, just looked, you made one error in your left field experience this year. So do you remember it? Was it something that you wish you had back a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. It was in Indianapolis. I was charging a ball that probably didn't have a play at the plate. Probably shouldn't have even been thinking about that, but just bobbled it a little bit and let them advance. Yeah.
Wow. I wasn't expecting you to fully remember it, but there you go. That's interesting. But yeah, I think some words always stick out to me that your former manager in Worcester always used to say. And, I felt like every single guy that used to play there in Worcester was playing multiple positions. Even you were playing 2 positions when you're there. And I remember him always saying, he's like, playing extra positions is never going to hurt somebody's chances of making it to the big league. So I feel like being versatile is never a bad thing. So if you are suiting up in left field, I feel like it's just going to help your case getting up to the next level there. I did want to ask, though, you made a return trip out to Worcester this year to face some of your old teammates. What was that like, facing guys that you came through the system with?
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, it was great to see them. And then, there were certain guys like Sogard that I only saw for a day because he gets called back up to the big leagues. So, much rather him be up there than me see him in Worcester. But, it was great getting at bats off of a guy like Brian Van Bell, where I think I've caught him at every single level and basically every spring training that I've been at, he's been at. And so it's fun, pick your pitches to sit on, and, and then you see why guys like that have success. You see why, he's been incredibly successful in his career. And also guys like G, guys got good stuff, and, pick your pitch to sit on. And he got me out with a splitter and grounded out to second base against him.
So I'm going to put you on the spot here for a second. Obviously you're talking about a few guys, and obviously a couple guys as well that made their debut. And I think Van Bell's on his way to doing that at some point in 25. But, for you, just seeing it from afar and obviously not playing on the same team with them, which guy were you the most happy for, proud of, whatever it is? I know you're probably proud of all of them, the guys you came through, but which one was like, that one felt extra cool seeing this guy make his MLB debut this year?
Good question. Oh man. It felt like there was a lot. But I think Sogi sticks out to me, just the way that, and I'm sure that you've heard this from other people. I'm sure that it's really his reputation, that the way that he prepares, just the way that he's himself in the dugout and the locker room, he's an incredible guy. And then obviously an incredible player that like we were just talking about, versatile, able to play a lot of positions. Really just a scrappy ball player, and, really love to see that for him and have that success up there.
Yeah. I'm sorry to put you on the spot there. I know there's quite a few guys this past year, and it's tough for me too, but Nick Sogard, man, he's one of the best. What you see, like what he is on the field, off the field, he's going to be just like that away from the field. And he's just, I don't know, he's incredible, man.
Absolutely. It's a good problem to have when you can't choose, when it's hard to choose which guy going up is the best, is the favorite.
Yeah, no worries. I won't clip this and send it to Chase Sugar. You're safe on that one.
Yeah, Sugar's a close second.
Oh, it's all good. But you were talking earlier in the show here that you were kind of talking about that you got to watch baseball. Actually, once it got to the postseason, you got to watch the Tigers kind of on their it was kind of a cool run watching Detroit do what they did, obviously not being expected to do much like earlier in the season, and they get hot and they go on to the playoffs. But how exciting was that for you to know that, like, these are some of your teammates? It's like this is where you'd like to be one day. Like, how fun was that to watch Detroit in the playoffs this past year?
Yeah, it's awesome. Sitting down with my fiance, and we're watching a game, and, she's doing work on her computer and writing notes and whatnot. And, I'm tapping her on the shoulder. I'm like, look, I played with him. Like that's Crides in the dugout there. That's Jay Hinn on the field. Like this guy's getting an at bat. Like, and so it was awesome, and to see a lot of them go up there and have success as well. It was even better, to feel like, that's my teammate. And, there were quite a few that were up and down throughout the season, and then they really found their footing late. And that was just awesome to watch.
I did want to ask too, I forgot to ask this earlier, but you in the clubhouse, you kind of had a thing. And once you left Worcester, it was crosswords. That was a Steven Scott thing. And then when you left, I heard Nico Cavada say, I still put one at his locker, because your locker was empty for a few weeks after you were gone. Where you were the year before, it was right to the right of the door. And he'd always put a crossword at your chair, even though nobody was at the locker. And he's just like, and I asked him one day, I was like, who's that for? And he's like, it's Scotty, man. This is his thing. Like, he's the crossword guy. Do you still do crosswords? What are you doing in the clubhouse, I guess, pregame? Yeah,
still, I love doing the crosswords. It kind of depends on the mood. I would say I like doing them with other guys around. So if there's other guys, ripping a crossword, then I'm all in for it. Played a lot of cards, playing a lot of cards in the locker room, and, just hanging out, whatever the guys got going on, whether it's watching golf or football at the end of the season. And then than just a lot of cards.
Okay. I just thought it was so cool, man, that like, it was kind of your thing, like in the Worcester clubhouse. It's like everybody knew that you were the crossword guy. And it's like when you were gone, it was like, it's a little sad because they just kept putting one at your seat. And I'm just like, dude, he didn't die. He's still kicking. But
no, I'm still doing them. I like doing them in the off season when my fiance and I can sit down and have some time in the morning to do a crossword. We always love that.
Okay. Hey, I don't hate it. I just
she's the one that got me started on them, so she's the she created the monster.
Okay, that's fair enough. But yeah, I had to ask because they were still, I'm telling you, they were putting them on your seat for at least the first 2 weeks, and then I think somebody moved into that locker. But yeah, it was just kind of sad to see. I was like, damn, that one hits a little bit. All right, I got a couple questions, 2 more left, and I'll let you slide here. So obviously, the off season's almost over, and I feel like a lot of the big free agents, besides a few, are all signed, and I feel like teams are what they are heading into camp now. For you as a guy in the Tiger system, how exciting has it been to see, like, the Tigers obviously, added Jack Flaherty, you got, Tarik Skubal coming back as the reigning Cy Young winner. They have, pretty good team on paper, just like they did last year when they made that playoff run. So how exciting for you as a player, like seeing them add talent, especially on the pitching side of things and going into camp?
Yeah, you always want to feel like you have a good shot going in. And so to have that excitement, to have that buzz, I think that a lot of people, feel good about the way that we're coming in. A lot of it will always depends on how healthy people can stay. And so, I think we're all excited. I think that, they've added some pieces. They brought pieces back like Jack Flaherty. So I think a lot of people are excited.
And so my final question here, it is weird because I always, we were talking earlier, it's like, you last spring training, you didn't even get a chance to be at spring training with the Tigers. So it's like you didn't actually like get a chance to be around the entire organization and see a lot of the guys. But so this spring training is your first spring training as a Detroit Tiger in their system. Mm-hmm. What kind of things are you looking forward to, I guess, as your first spring training with the team? Obviously, you're familiar with some guys after playing this past year, but what are you looking forward to as spring rolls around?
I think just meeting everyone. A lot of it is just I've met people over the phone, I've texted, but just putting faces together. I think that'll be the biggest thing for me. It feels like a little bit of the first day of school again, where you're walking in and not sure who you're going to be next to or how many people you're going to know in your class. There's a little bit of maybe some nervous anxiety for me going into it, but really excited just to meet everybody, just to see faces and try to put my best foot forward going into camp.
Are you itching at the opportunity to catch a Cy Young winner?
I would love it.
Okay. Is he like one of the guys like that you, I guess, you possibly do have a chance to, catch him either on the, in a bullpen, something coming in. Is he a guy? I know you haven't played with him and caught him or anything like that, but is he a guy just watching on TV, one of the most impressive left-handers you've seen in a while?
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that you look at the year that he had last year and it was insane. And from what I hear, an incredible person as well. So, I'm looking forward to hopefully meet him and catch him as well. And, develop some sort of relationship there. But yeah, like you said, just an incredible year, and hopefully you can repeat it and improve or just, keep dominating.
All right, Steven, thank you so much for hopping on. Obviously, we're going to be rooting for you in your first spring with Detroit here coming up in the next week. And wishing you nothing but the best in 25. But thank you for hopping on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andrew. Good to see you.